Where should you move if you want to exit the US and move to France? This is a series where I talk about in depth a little bit more about each area. So, today I am going to talk about Paris because that's where me and my little dog Tad will be moving in 2026. Now, why did I pick Paris? If this relates to you in any way, this might be a place that you want to move. Now, Paris is a big city, okay? So, if you like not having to drive a car because they have rails and the metro everywhere, Paris is great. If you like a big city with culture, art, cafes, like any big city, there is just so many things to do and see. Parks, and it's a big hub, okay? Now, one of the main reasons why I'm not moving to the south of France and I picked Paris is because I own my own business and because it's easier to fly into Paris and fly back to the US if I have to, and also because it's easier for me to ship from Paris. I ship products, so if I need to ship from the Paris to US, it's much less costly than other places because it's a hub. So that's another reason why. And I just love the culture. I'm half French too. So that's another reason why I picked France. And I just know that I'm going to love Paris too because it's so dog friendly. And I have a little dog. You can bring most restaurants let you bring your dog to cafes as long as they're on the floor. They might bring your dog water and treats. You're allowed to have them on the metro, buses. They even have a couple of tours that you can bring your dog with you. One is on the Seine River, and another is a bus tour where you can bring your dog. So that's appealing to me. Also, I'm an artist, so I like a real rounded place. And even though I currently live in the smallest town, I was born in Los Angeles. I lived in Dallas for a long time. So, I know both sides from the city and the countryside. Now, the places you probably want to avoid if you don't, I've done a lot of research because doing a lot of planning before I move. And anybody tells you just pack a bag and leave, there's a lot to know, especially about Paris. Because although it's not for everybody, this is why you should do research on each city. And I'm trying to give you a little glimpse into each area, whether it be a big city, a village, so you don't have to. So you can kind of look into it a little more. So, Paris, the places probably to avoid is the 10th, 19th, and 18th. Those places have a lot of pickpockets, and they have probably some of the seedier metro areas. So if safety is a concern, I would avoid those areas. The most prestigious areas are like the 6th and the 7th, but anywhere from the 1st to probably the 8th is very good, even all the way to the 16th. And each area has its own charm. So probably in another series, I'm going to go into each area and specifically talk about those areas. Now, specifically in Paris about rentals. Now, in every city, there is a wide range. So in Paris, yes, it's probably more expensive, but it's not as expensive for somebody coming from the US that's used to paying what we pay. So, yes, you can get an apartment, a studio, a very teeny studio, okay, for 500, or you can pay, 1,000, 1,200, 1,300. Heck, if you want to spend 2,600 or 3,000, you can get a beautiful apartment. And if you have a family where you need more space, of course it's going to be more expensive because you need a bigger area. So that all depends. But I would say the average for one bedroom is 700 euros to 1,000 euros. Now that's average. Of course, there's cheaper, and of course, there's way more expensive. Now, another thing that I have learned, it's extremely hard to get an apartment in Paris because they rent to the French first, especially if you're a foreigner. And the reason it being is they have a lot of tenant rights there. And they're scared that you might skip out. It's easier for, I guess, a foreigner to skip out than it would be somebody French, local person there. But a lot of times you have to have a guarantor and somebody that can back you if you don't pay the rent. But it's very difficult. So I hear planning could be 4 to 6 months. That seems like a long time, and it is. So be prepared for a long, stressful rent hunt if you're planning on renting in Paris. Okay? Whether you go through an agency, online, or use a real estate agent. But nothing's impossible. So I view Paris as a beautiful city, and since I have a business, I feel it is the place for me because it's a big hub and everything's easy access. So if you are solely retired or solely don't count on a job or anything, you can move to many other gorgeous areas in France. Now, that doesn't mean that those other areas don't have jobs, but Paris is a big market. So, that being said, I am going to discuss later on the each areas of France because I have thoroughly looked into these to see what area I truly want to live in. Because at first I thought, well, France is France, but no. No, an area where you live is very important because they have good areas and not so good areas, just like any other big city. So I hope this helps you make a decision. If you like the city life and you just like taking the metro, you don't have to worry about a car. And if you're worried about eventually work and income, that you might have a job in Paris, that might be important to you. So I hope this helps, and stay tuned for the next series on the areas of Paris before I move on to the next city or village that I'm going to talk about. See you guys later.